If you stick with this for 90% of the week, every single week throughout this process, and you allow yourself to have those social occasions, just get the meal that you really want, but eat with mindfulness, you will see changes. Hi there, Dietitian Teresa here, and I want to talk to you about 3 tips that I would have for a client if they came in to me with the goal of wanting to look more toned for the summer, feel more confident, stronger in their body, really make sure that they're taking care of themselves and feeling really confident going into less layers in the summer and just really start fueling their bodies well, but you might have a goal of like optimizing your body composition in the process. First off, before these 3 tips, what I want you to do is this is a process driven approach. So this is not going to be a get ripped fix kind of approach. It's not like 4 weeks, everything's going to change. I would say set a realistic goal in 12 weeks, month to month, thinking in a fat loss journey. If 12 weeks, just give it a good 12-week go. We shouldn't be in a deficit for longer than 12 to 16 weeks because that's not really what we're in this for. We're in it for longevity. And sometimes when you are in the phase of going towards a fat loss phase, you can make these changes to help that happen. And then after that happens is kind of learning your way back up to maintenance for a while, really learn how to nourish your body in the meantime. Anyways, set a 3-month goal. So what's very typical is about 1% body fat per month can be very, very sustainable. Anywhere from 1 to 3% is actually realistic. Any higher than 1%, especially going into the summer, I would say you'd have to be so dedicated and like very regimented in your routine for this 12 weeks, which what does summer bring? Lots of fun events, lots of social occasions. So be absolutely realistic with it, you guys. Probably 0.5 to 1% body fat you can strive for each month. So if you can get a DEXA scan, an eVolt scan, an in-body scan from a local gym, in the beginning of your fat loss journey, do that first so you have some data. Take body measurements, write those down, and also take a starting weight. The weight is not the focus here, but it is nice to know where you start. And a progress photo, front and side facing photo. That way you have some things to work off of. So get those things down before you even dive into these tips. Then let's move into tip number 1. These 3 things, this is what I want you to focus on as far as nutrition goes. 1 would be your total overall calorie intake. Right here is where you are going to use this little equation that you can utilize on your own to help you figure out what are your fat loss calories and what do those look like for the next 12 weeks. So when you get that number, I want you to go through it step by step. Don't skip it. Don't try to change it. Just use this. This is very like mainstream baseline approach and equation. There are a few other equations you can use, but just use this for right now just to kind of get a standard breakdown. You get your fat loss calories and you get your macro breakdown right here. The 30% protein may look different for some people, so I'll go into that in my second tip, which is focusing on protein. But let me finish up with the calories first. So in a fat loss journey, you gotta find your maintenance, which is your TDEE. Use the calculator down below for that direct link to find your TDEE. You'll get that, and then what I want you to do is subtract 10%. Start smaller rather than going to the extreme. Don't start at 20, I just want you to start at 10% of a deficit, which might be around 200 to 300 calories for some people. That's just enough to stimulate change, but it's not so drastic that it's gonna cause your body to just hold on to the fat that you're trying to get rid of. When you find that out, I want you to put that number to the side, the calories and macros for that. And then that first week, I want you to block off just to track using an app like Chronometer to track your intake. Figure out what your baseline calories are and your baseline macros are. Don't try to aim for anything specific. Just do what you've always been doing so you get a baseline. A lot of people want to skip this step because they don't want to be like real with themselves. They don't want to see what they're actually eating or kind of bring that to light, right? That extra bite or spoonful of peanut butter, the extra mini candy bar that you're taking in the afternoon. Guys, it's fine. You need the data so you can figure out how to change your behaviors, how to change your intake to help optimize your outcome, which, if you're watching this video, is fat loss. So I want to make it as sustainable as possible. Be real with yourself. Don't change anything in that first week. After you get that data of that 7-day baseline, I want you to go through it. See what are some commonalities. Is your fat really high? Are you hitting protein? Do you need to eat more carbs or bring the carbs down? Just figure out what that is. Figure out what meals are you skipping meals? Where is an extra handful of this, handful of that coming in? Make notes of those so you have that data for yourself. You're your own science experiment right now. So in that second week after that, I want you to bring back that fat loss calories, and I want you to think, how am I gonna get here? How am I gonna get here? So some people are eating in excess. Some people might be eating in a surplus. So let's say your fat loss calories are 1,800 calories and you're eating 2,500 calories, but you're like, I don't eat that much, but you figured out from what you are eating 2,500 calories. So you need to bring that down to that 1,800. Let's say you're eating only 1,200 calories. So you would need to do the opposite. You would need to bring it up to that 1,800. And let's say your baseline, like your TDEE, is 2,100 calories. So even if you're starting smaller, like from a 1,200 calorie intake per day from that baseline, and you're eating more, you're technically still in a deficit because you were at your fat loss calories at 1,800, where your maintenance would be 2,100. So people get confused on that concept when I'm like, eat more to lose fat, because your body needs to get to a certain point where it feels safe to let go. So that 1,800 calories, this hypothetical number that I have out here, is what you would need to work up to or work down to calorie-wise. So calories are made up of macros. So let me go into protein. Protein, carbs, and fats are what make up your calories. For the beginning, so you don't get overwhelmed with things, I want you to just dial in on the protein. So from those macros that you calculated, 30% allocate to protein, so you have enough protein to help that lean muscle tissue stay on, and some develop depending on where you're coming from in your training background, to help maintain the lean muscle tissue, to help shed the body fat, and that shows. That's where the tone, that's where the fit physique comes in. And I want you to focus on consuming that, aiming for that number. To give you a range, because sometimes if you are only find you're eating 80 grams of protein, but your goal is like 130 grams of protein, I don't want you having to jump that 50 grams of protein overnight. So slowly build your way up. Oh, where can I add 10 more grams of protein these next few days? Okay, now where can I add 10 more to get up to that 130? To give you a range of your goal protein. So I want you to use the TDEE calculator, and it does calculate your ideal body weight in there. That ideal body weight, let's just put that number to the side. It's just a number, but I want you to use that as your bottom range, like your bottom goal for protein. So if it's 112 pounds, your ideal body weight is, aim for at minimum 112 grams of protein to that 130 grams of protein max. So I want you to hit within range there so you're adequately fueling your body enough throughout the time. In a fat loss phase, it's typical, 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight is the baseline recommendation. So I don't want you to feel defeated if you are not able to hit that 130 right away. It is a higher number, and if you're not well versed in like protein intake and what you're intaking on a daily basis, then it might be a little bit more difficult. But what makes it easier, focus on 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight, and then give that range between the ideal body weight number and your calculated from the 30% protein, and use that as your range. So hopefully that helps. I want you to focus on your protein intake coming from mainly like complete protein sources, which are going to be your animal proteins, fish, seafood, eggs, dairy products, chicken, beef, turkey, those foods. I want you to focus primarily on getting your protein from those foods, because our animal proteins have an amino acid called leucine, which is so important for the muscular development and feeding the muscle, but also is an important amino acid to help cross the blood-brain barrier, helpful for female hormones, helpful for regulating that neurological network up there, That's so important. You can have plant-based proteins, you can mix those in, but primarily focus on getting your protein from an animal source of protein. So we've talked about calories, like fat loss calories, how to find those. We've talked about aiming for your protein. And to finish up that tip number 2 or focus number 2 is the carbs and fats. Do not worry about those in the beginning. Hit your protein, hit that consistently 90% of the time. Once you reach that goal and you're hitting it for at least 2 weeks straight, then you can shift the focus. Okay, now I'm gonna start working on the carbohydrate portion. How can I maybe get my carbohydrates within range? The reason why I say this is as long as you're in that calorie deficit, meeting those calories, meeting that protein, in the meantime, let the fats and carbs fluctuate for a while, figure out your protein, figure out how you're hitting those calories, and then you can shift the focus to the carbs. Okay, you nailed down the carbs, now shift the focus to fats. And then you have this like beautiful network of, oh, now I'm understanding protein, carbs, and fats by the end of the journey. The third thing that I would have you focus on is your fiber intake. We need fiber for regular digestion and helping get more vitamins and minerals into our body, for our gut health, for our digestion, keep things regular, keep things moving. And fiber also helps keep you fuller for longer and keeps you satisfied, can add volume to the meal. So you're getting more volume, feeling like you're eating more, but you're naturally eating less in a way because these are more nutrient dense options when you fill up your plate. So for the ladies out there, I want you to aim for at least 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. You can also see that in your Chronometer app on your daily fiber intake. That's a data point that you can also keep tracking as you go along this journey. And let's say you find you're only eating 10 grams of fiber now. Okay, the next week, how can I have 15 grams of fiber in this week every single day? And then you slowly work your way up that way too. So building blocks here. We're not in it for quick fix. You need to figure it all out at once. It's a building block method. So the fiber intake is gonna come from like your whole grains. So you got your oats, it could come from fruits like berries, apples, kiwi, bananas, blueberries, strawberries, dates, those fruits, vegetables, broccoli, green beans, carrots, squash, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. I think I gave you a lot of variety there, but that's where bulk of your fiber is gonna come. I want you to focus on volumizing your meals, add color to your plate, and that's gonna naturally help you kind of stay within range of your calorie intake as well without feeling like, oh, I only have to eat like 2 bites of something. No, like I want you to make sure that you're focused on whole foods most of the time. And yeah, like I would say focus on those things, your overall calorie intake, your protein intake, and your fiber intake. Focus on those 3 things right here. Those 3 things is what I want you to focus on, and make sure that you are on top of it, that you don't cut yourself short. You're in this for a good 12 weeks. Let yourself learn along the process. And I have high hopes. If you stick with this for 90% of the week, every single week throughout this process, and you allow yourself to have those social occasions, just get the meal that you really want, but eat with mindfulness, you will see changes. You'll definitely see changes. So this was more nutrition focused. Of course, in a fat loss journey, 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, getting in strength training 3 to 4 times per week consistently, every single week, focus on progressive overload, managing your stress, not getting rid of it, but stress management, and the mindset is key. Consistency, not perfection. We're in it for the long haul here. You're in it for long-term metabolic health so that your body and metabolism can adjust beautifully along this process. So try this out. Maybe just give yourself a good 4-week go, download the Chronometer app, do the calculation, and start focusing on it. And I wish you the best of luck. So thanks for tuning in. I really hope this helped you kind of mainstream some ideas for you on how to get started and feeling really great for summer 2025. So thank you so much for watching. Stay strong, stay nourished, and I'll see you in the next video.